One last time. We're gonna do this one last time. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, how's everyone doing out there? So, how are you doing, Colin?
You know, I'm doing all right. How are you, Christopher?
Hanging in there.
Weather's great.
The weather is great.
Weather is great. I'm feeling mighty fine today.
Mighty fine.
I'll be treating you so mighty fine.
We don't have copyright for that. Wait a second.
We wrote that song. Well, I didn't, but I was barely a part of it. Anyway.
Okay, so Colin and I had an idea.
Yeah.
Everybody, and we think
for the first time.
For the first time ever. Over the next couple of weeks, movie theaters are opening back up again.
And we're pumped.
We were just at the movies. We just got back. Mm-hmm. We had a really good time.
Yep.
It was really nice, guys.
Yeah.
It was really nice to be back in those seats. It's a freaking movie theater by us. Man, I just went full Aussie there.
The full Aussie.
The flipping movie theater by us has heated seats.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
I'm like, I thought my seat was overheating.
You're like, my seat is overheating. I was like, no, I think it warms your butt. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
That was crazy.
But we saw a movie that's been in like production limbo for 5 years. It was announced in 2017, like late 2017.
Right.
We're talking about New Mutants.
Mm-hmm. So before we go any further, we would like to ask you guys to sponsor Prone to Ponder. You can go. Okay, I can't focus now. Go to anchor.fm/prone to ponder, and you could give 99 cents a month. Hopefully you can afford that. If you can, we would greatly appreciate your 99 cents every month.
And
Thank
if
you
you
guys.
think we are morons for singing that, I completely understand. You can stop subscribing. But please just donate. We're talking about New Mutants, and it was a Fox property.
Oh, that's why it was.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Disney bought Fox Centuries Productions. And in turn, they got a lot of rights to a lot of their movies. Some of those including like the X-Men franchise, the Fantastic Four franchise, and yada, yada, a couple other things that came along with that. So as that was happening, they bought out New Mutants. And New Mutants, when they had finished the whole buying process, was still a movie that was available. Now, if you don't know anything about Marvel, Marvel has a long timeline of movies that they want to create over the past 10 years, starting with Iron Man 1 and just recently ended their last major stint of a storyline with Spider-Man Far From Home. So
crazy to think that we haven't had anything since then.
Correct, right. Like, no Marvel movies, nothing.
Colin and I were on the way to the movie theater, and we're like, it's kind of crazy to think we haven't been to the theater in 6 months. The last movie we saw in theaters was Birds of Prey.
Yep.
And that was in February, mid-February.
Yeah.
The end of February is when everything started to close down.
Yeah.
Early March. So it has been quite a while.
It has been. And it's been crazy. It's been crazy because you think it doesn't feel like 6 months has passed.
No.
Since we've been stuck at home. Yeah, it's been crazy because we've been stuck together most of the time since March. Middle of March. It almost feels like I remember being in it and it was so stuck and you kind of took it day by day, not knowing what was coming next. And then now looking back on it, it just seems like it was like a snap of your fingers and it was over.
Yeah.
It's so
crazy.
It's like summer vacation. New Mutants, basically part of the X-Men universe that came with 20th Century Fox. And Fox, unfortunately, got bought out. And during that time, if you don't know about mergers with giant companies like that, it takes time to figure out the assets and how it moves and how things are going to work. So the rights of those movies went to Marvel and Disney. Mm-hmm. So they were going to release it, I believe, like beginning of 2018. And then it got pushed to later that year. And then it got pushed to 2019. And then it got pushed to later 2019. And then it was just like limbo.
Right.
And so it officially came out 2 days ago.
Yeah.
After going through production hell. Because I think he and I were just talking right before the podcast, but I read something that said that Fox hated the movie so much that they considered remaking the entire movie. Now we're going to give our spoiler-free review here in a few minutes about it. But
maybe in a couple weeks after people have had a chance to see it, maybe we could go deeper into it.
Yeah,
we could see it again or something, and then we'll do a spoiler version.
Right, and I didn't think it was unwatchable. Like personally,
I enjoyed it.
I did too. Personally, I thought that Birds of Prey that we saw earlier this year was worse.
100% agree.
I mean, I wanted to like that movie so bad, and it nothing appealed to me. And I don't know if it was like the characters weren't that good, because the characters seem interesting, but when I remember watching it, being like, this kind of sucks.
It was kind of boring.
Yeah,
and boring not in the kind of way that a dull action movie is boring,
right?
Because there are those movies that look. I love the Fast and Furious movies, but Fast and Furious 8 was a dull, boring action movie.
Yeah, it was there for the adrenaline kick.
Yeah. And I think Birds of Prey it lacked depth in characters and in story. I didn't understand the stakes ever. I
don't think there was any.
There
kind of was.
It's like they're bad guys fighting more bad guys. And that's sort of with the Suicide Squad too. It's like you can't. I understand the premise of it, but the comics did a way better job at setting up real stakes for the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were able to get to know the characters and love them.
Well, and it's over the course of months that these things come out,
They made the same mistake that they did with Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, we have to catch up. Let's get all of our characters into one movie and put them together and see what happens.
Yeah, throw it out there.
Everyone's like, I don't care about these characters because I don't know anything about them.
Right.
More than half the movie is just exposition on each character.
Right. You can't do world building and storytelling at the same time.
Give me a whole movie on Deadshot.
Yeah.
And give me a whole movie on
Harley Quinn. Yeah.
And then maybe throw them into...
if this Harley Quinn movie came out before Suicide Squad, it probably would have been a lot different.
It probably would have been.
It would have been, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, with New Mutants, not to get off two handles, but basically it's a movie about...
I'll read the synopsis.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
5 young mutants, just discovering their abilities while held in a secret facility against their will, fight to escape their past sins and save themselves.
Yeah, so the entire movie was centered around these 5 characters, younger teenagers, played by mostly played 3 big name actors.
They weren't really at the time, though.
Not at the time, no. I mean, again, this was like 2016 when they filmed this.
Yeah.
So they look a lot different now.
They definitely took a shot in the dark.
Oh, yeah.
Casting these people.
Yeah.
Which might be a reason that Fox hated it. I could see that if they casted bigger names that were a little more recognizable, I think people would be a little more engaged and intrigued by that.
Well, if you think about it, at the time that this movie was being created, Game of Thrones was big, Stranger Things was big, and so was Split. So those 3 main actors, Anya Taylor-Johnson, Maisie Williams, and
Charlie
Hayton, who from Stranger Things, they're pretty big name actors at that point. I mean, 2016, I think that's when Stranger Things came out. So like they probably got these big major roles. Now nowadays, like I don't know, a movie really depends to me. I will go and watch it if I know the characters. Like I think one thing that came to mind was like The Lighthouse, and we're going to talk about The Lighthouse here in a little bit because I know we did, but I want to talk about something else.
Yeah.
Because something else dropped this past weekend that still I pee my pants every time I watch it. Like The Lighthouse, like I love William Dafoe and I love I've grown to love Robert Pattinson. Willem Dafoe. Sorry.
It's okay.
Don't sue me. I loved Willem Dafoe, and I really loved how their characters interacted with each other because that was just a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
I just was so immersed into it. I think a good movie obviously depends on their actors. And if their actors do a poor performance, you can tell. Like, people go and, on the Twilight movies because it just seemed like the actors didn't want to be there.
Well, because they really didn't.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
And the biggest hater of that entire series is Robert Pattinson. Yeah. And he hated it.
Kristen Stewart, she knows how to act. She's a good actress.
Yeah, she's been in some good stuff.
She got fed some lines.
Yeah.
I mean, she was good in that movie that we watched, that underwater movie.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
She was good in that. Yeah. Regardless. Yeah, sorry. What was the point you were making on The Lighthouse?
So what I was saying is like the
We're getting to New Mutants, guys. Just hang tight.
Well, I'm just saying that I would not go see Lighthouse if it was like, Steve Harrington from Stranger Things and some other schmo. Like some other
people that people don't know.
Right. a good performance comes with great actors, and that's pretty basic knowledge. But that's how it appeals to me. Not saying like this movie New Mutants was terrible. I first and foremost, I thought it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Because I love superhero movies, and I was intrigued because this movie's been wanting to come out for 5 years.
Yeah. We were also pretty biased because it was our first movie that we got to see back in theaters after 6 months.
So it didn't matter.
So it didn't matter if the movie sucked or not. We enjoyed it. I was entertained throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's really tough with superhero movies because there's such a wide range of superhero movies. Stuff that is so good.
Yeah.
And has really intriguing, intricate, intelligent dialogue.
Yeah.
And then there's other superhero movies where the dialogue is just sort of stale.
Yeah, the writing was off.
The writing was a little weird.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little not natural.
But the concept was good.
The concept I really enjoyed.
That's what pulled me in.
Yeah.
Yes. Because it was different. And I don't want to say like the entire movie. I wouldn't even say necessarily it was a superhero movie. It was a movie of insanity, fear, and trauma kind of roped into these characters' lives that have superpowers, because I feel like most of the movie didn't really display powers.
Right.
You know?
It wasn't until like the last
the last
minutes.
And that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And I think that's what makes good movies like that. This entire movie I felt like depended on the characters itself and how they dealt with certain things and things like that. Not to get too deep into like what happened in the movie, but I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Let's develop our own scale.
Okay.
Let's use something other than numbers.
Okay.
So like, for example, let's use Nickleback to
Nirvana.
Wait,
okay, hold on. Throw it out there.
Somewhere in between, and then you just use whatever band, you know? That could be fun.
I'd say it was like a metro station mixed with a little bit of I don't know where I was going with that.
Metro station. Wow, I haven't heard that name
Because
in a long time.
I can't even think of a song that they
Oh,
do.
man.
Touch it like this. My first kiss went a little like this. And twist.
Okay, so from Nickleback to Nirvana, where would you rate this movie? That's our scale.
But that's the problem. Is Foo Fighters better than Nirvana? We've got ourselves in a pickle here.
Yeah, we do. All right. This might not be a great scale.
No.
All right. Well, let's. I really like, and it rolls off the tongue. Nickleback to Nirvana.
Okay.
And we'll just assume that Nirvana's at the top. So no one ever achieves Nirvana.
Wow. We're onto something here.
Yeah. All right. So where would you rate this movie from Nickleback to Nirvana? I would rate it as Puddle of Mud.
Okay.
You know, something you could get into, bob your head a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get on Facebook and share about it.
Right. Right. Ooh, that's a good one. POD.
Okay.
Something, you can shake your head to, you can jam out, but it's not going to change your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. POD.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say POD.
All right.
No one's going to get any of these references, but that's okay.
Rock and roll. Go listen to Puddle of Mud and POD.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh my God, I understand. Their movie ratings are off bands. Yeah. Welcome to movie rating music.
Yeah, and when we rate music, we'll
do movies.
Okay, so without spoiling anything, what did you really enjoy about the movie besides the fact that it was just entertaining?
I did like the characters' relationships together.
Okay.
Because
it's kind of a teen story coming to
with adult themes in a sense, because
very,
a lot of them
very adult themes.
A lot, yeah.
I was surprised at some points that it was PG-13.
Yeah, that they did certain things. They definitely decided to do a lot of like their backstories were very adult centric.
Yeah.
They weren't like, I blew up my school. It was like, no, I murdered people.
Yeah.
So like they definitely played around with that. And I think it really developed their relationship together, because there was a lot of people that was like, I don't want to talk about it just yet. And then there was a guy like burning in a pool. So it's very interesting how it all came together because of one person. And I think their relationship kind of molded together. Now, like I said, it was a POD kind of movie. Like, it was good to watch. Would I watch it all the time? No. If it came on like TV, I might watch it.
Yeah. I don't think it's something I would turn off the radio.
Right.
You know, if we're talking music.
Right.
If it came on the radio, probably wouldn't turn it off.
Right.
But I'm not going to go search for it.
Yeah, watch the entire album,
Yeah.
or listen to the other time.
Yeah, this is going to be super confusing. I thought it was shot pretty well.
Yeah.
The beginning, I almost threw up there was so much shaky cam in the very beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning, very beginning.
And I'm like, okay, if the whole movie is going to be like this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But they corrected that really quick. So if you don't know anything about the movie, they take a more thriller, I don't want to say horror, but a little more like thriller genre on this. They tried to make it a little bit scary and a little bit intense.
Yeah.
And the color grade showed that it was one of those sort of color graded like the It movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's
very It.
desaturated.
Yeah.
And not super contrasty.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of felt a little vintagey.
Right.
Which is good because you have no idea what sort
Right.
of time period this is taking place.
And they sort of dabbled with the time period a little bit, kind of connecting it to the other movies that came out.
Mhm.
And, well, I should say only one movie, basically. It was like an isolation movie because they were stuck in this hospital, quote unquote. They were only like confined to a certain couple of rooms, like a little bit outside. And I want to compare it to like The Invisible Man, the one with Kevin Bacon. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
That's a good one.
Yeah?
It's sort of like in a basement kind of deal, like a very limited area, or like Deep Blue Sea.
It kind of reminded me of Shutter Island.
Oh yeah, a lot like Shutter Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of that horror aspect, but more of a thriller. Yeah.
Right. It's not like really visually scary.
Because when we say superhero movies, like you expect an origin story,
especially
to where,
a Marvel movie,
right? You expect an origin story to a big battle, so and you fight this big villain, but there wasn't really that.
Yeah, it followed the same outline, if you will, but it definitely got there in a way that we haven't seen before.
Right.
Which is really refreshing.
Right.
It is cool, whether or not it's going to make a lot of money, or
Probably
whether
not.
or not people are really going to like it.
Yeah.
At least they're doing something new that I really enjoyed.
I think it made $7 million in the past 2 days, which is pretty good for an opening weekend. I think they
for
said
an opening weekend during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be really interested to see what other movies are opening for right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Tenet's doing pretty good out overseas.
Yeah.
It released there this same weekend.
So next week for the podcast, Colin and I will be doing another one of these spoiler-free mini reviews on Tenet.
Yeah.
And then that one you can definitely expect after a couple weeks. We'll come back to it and we'll do a spoiler.
Yeah. Because we're
review.
big fans.
Because we love #Tofno.
Tofno.
We can talk all day about his movies. Speaking of which.
Yep.
We might as well get into it.
Yeah.
Other than The Dark Knight, because I know that's your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Other than The Dark Knight, what Christopher Nolan movie do you like the most?
It is. That's a hard... Because Dark Knight will top it because it's just masterpiece.
That's Nirvana.
That's straight up Nirvana. But I would say Inception is a close second because I saw Inception 5 times in theaters.
Wow.
Because there was so much going on.
You learn something new every time. I've seen it probably 20 times, and you learn something new every time.
Exactly. And someone would be like, watch this, or imagine this, and like think of that, and you're just like, oh my God, it changes the movie every single time. Inception, and then probably Memento.
Yeah.
Because Memento was such a... I remember we watched it, and I was confused with the first 45 minutes. I had no idea what was going on. But engaged, because it was just like, I'm trying to... My brain couldn't comprehend what's going on, but I was trying so hard to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then, like, you're like, it's backwards. Yeah. Like, it was so interesting. It was so interesting.
I went to school for film, and one of the things that, like, my teacher challenged me was if you ever see a movie that you really enjoy, go back in that director's catalog and just watch all their movies. From their first movie to their last movie. Yeah. I did that with Christopher Nolan. Yeah. I did that with Wes Anderson. I did that with a few other directors out there. And it's really cool to see the map that they use for every single movie. Yeah. No matter how different movies. I mean, look at Inception versus what's that magic movie?
Oh, Prestige.
The Prestige. Yeah. Like, those are so different.
Very, but similar.
But in a way, you're like, I understand how this is directed by the same person. Yeah. So going back to the New Mutants, the only other big movie that David Boone, I think is his name, the director, the only other box office movie that he directed was Fault in Our Stars.
Really? I've never seen it.
Which is it's a book drama teen movie. Yeah. Which makes sense why he picked a lot of the romantic themes for this movie.
After you say that, yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see that in his catalog of movies. Yeah. It's the same thing with Christopher Nolan. Like, you never go into a Christopher Nolan movie expecting it to be clear cut.
No.
Within the past 10 minutes, you're going to get a twist that you did not see coming.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you know there's going to be a twist, there's no way to guess what it's going to be.
You're right.
And then you go back and you look at his movies and you're like, wait, after watching it again, are you kidding me? The Prestige opens on all of those hats.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're telling me right from the very beginning.
You told me the answer.
What's going on.
Yeah.
And I still had no idea.
Yeah.
And then you go back and it's sort of like Christopher Nolan standing on the screen just like looking at you, flipping you the bird. He's like, haha, gotcha, sucker.
Oh my gosh. It blows my mind that you're going to disagree with me, but I think I watch a lot of, I have a love for film too as well. I didn't go to school. I took one class in high school about it.
Well, you dropped out of college to watch movies. So that's enough.
I dropped out of college for a lot of reasons. But yes, Zack Snyder he really is attentive to detail, and I've watched a lot of his.
I won't disagree with that.
With his deep dive movies, whether it was like and that's another director where you could watch all his movies and you can clear cut see from like start to finish.
He is so stylized.
He is, and he takes a huge attention to detail, like little tiny things. Mm-hmm. And I've watched people who are a lot smarter than me like nitpick his scene by scene movies, and I'll watch it and be like, my jaw will be on the floor. Yeah. Just how much of people, and I mean, I wanted to get into movies so badly. I love Marvel, but I think Marvel has ruined a lot of movies because it has, I mean, it's a moneymaker. Basically, any movie that comes out will make tons of money. Doesn't matter if it's good or not.
Sure.
Doesn't matter. I mean, Ant-Man, I would say, they're great movies, don't get me wrong, but they're on the lower spectrum.
Yeah.
Still made
that's only because because you have a Marvel scale.
Right.
Think if Ant-Man came out before Iron Man.
No one liked it.
I don't think people would have liked it as much.
Yeah.
But it also would have been something new and completely different.
Right.
So it would have been interesting.
Right.
They paved the way.
Yeah. For
their own stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean that's really good for them. And it's been a long time since we've got a Marvel movie that hasn't been good. Yeah. At least hasn't been watchable. Mm-hmm. My opinion, don't hate me, people. My opinion, the only Marvel movies that I really won't watch, Thor 1 and 2.
Really?
Not crazy about them.
They're okay.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I'm not ever gonna be like, I'm in the mood to watch Thor 1.
They're like close to a Nickleback.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like a fun.
Oh.
Tonight.
With a period.
Like, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. Like, you listened to it, you watched it when you were younger. That's about it.
Yeah.
See?
But now if you talk about it seriously, no one's going to take you seriously.
Right. You'd be like, you like fun.
Yeah.
Scorsese said it. He's like, Marvel movies aren't cinema. Which, I mean, you can agree with that or not.
Well,
I don't, but...
Come on, Scorsese.
He's a bit of a dick.
That's a low blow.
It is.
And that's so... not true.
Right, but they are essentially a moneymaker. And I think Fast and Furious kind of went down that route to be like, wow, these big, gigantic budget movies can make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think they did that intentionally.
Absolutely.
They leaned into it.
Well, and I think Fast and Furious is kind of failing at it, whereas Marvel is succeeding at it.
Right.
No,
definitely.
Because they spent enough world building with each movie that they put out, and that's what I mean. I didn't give a shit about Captain Marvel. I really didn't care for it, but I only went to see it because I wanted to see what would happen.
Right.
Because it
matters for the big picture.
Right. In the grand scheme of things, right. I wanted to see it. Now, did I take away from it? Meh, kind of. Yeah. But I mean, I wanted to see what was next. That was it. Whereas like Fast and Furious, it's like, okay, where are we going with this?
Right.
Like, what's the end goal? Like the next movie, he's fighting his brother that we didn't know, and his name is John Cena. John Cena. Which I mean, I love John Cena. I love that.
We're gonna on that movie. Yeah. And we're gonna see. And we're like, that was the best Fast and Furious movie ever.
I think that's what hurt the DC movies is they saw that and they're like, we need to catch up. Like we have the ability. They have the ability to catch up.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't. And I think
they weren't patient.
Right. And Zack Snyder, like, you know, bless him for taking the time to try and create something so fast.
Yeah.
And to kind of deal with the studio needs. And you can kind of see where he's going with it. Where he wanted to go with it, I should say.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's a clear-cut end goal to that movie and the whole DC universe.
Right.
They are trying to do something intentionally different from Marvel. Well, they were. Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
They were trying to do something a little more realistic,
Mhm.
a little darker, more edgy.
Yeah. Something different.
Something different.
Yeah.
And then they failed at it
Right.
twice.
And I think that it was because the studio, Warner Brothers, wanted them to be like, look, Marvel did this. Turn it into Marvel. Do this because this is what works.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and it didn't. Because you had two opposing sides. Now, I think we talked about this. The failure of Justice League is it doesn't matter if, what happened with Zack Snyder where he stepped away because he had family issues and then Joss Whedon stepped in. It doesn't matter if you took the best director of all time and put him in that, it's still going to be a shitty movie.
Yeah.
Because half of it was, or most of it, I guess, was already made. And to have some other guy that comes in and is just like, okay, redo it, it's just going to come out badly. Yeah. And it was closer to Nickleback, worthy of a movie, what came out. And I was so excited for it. I was so pumped because
you were in denial for a good year and a half.
I was. And and I mean, I'll still watch it from time to time because it can be entertaining. And but it did.
Well, Nickelback's entertaining.
Right.
I
like Nickelback.
Everyone out there, we both actually...
We probably just lost our ownership, right, at this point.
Both of us actually like Nickelback.
Yeah.
They're just, they're the band that everybody poo-poos on all the time.
So everybody will relate to that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for what they're going with. But I think DC is now getting into a rhythm where they put out Shazam, which worked, which was sort of a Marvel-y-esque.
Which felt their most Marvel out there.
And that worked because it fit for that character.
Well, because you're telling a story about a character.
Right.
Not 10.
Right. And also Wonder Woman
and
worked.
Wonder Woman worked and
Aquaman worked.
Aquaman was okay.
It has potential to get better.
Yeah.
It has potential to get better.
It's hard to make a movie, not everyone can do it. It's hard to make a movie that most of it's CGI.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to make that
look good.
Really look good and enjoyable.
Yeah.
Even Marvel, they are really good about taking something that you would think most of it has to be CGI as far as your surroundings and your world building and stuff. But they do a great job at building sets and building things to help that out.
Absolutely.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy,
any of the Avengers.
all of it takes place in space and on different planets and stuff. But they're building those sets. They're doing a really good job at it. It's hard to do that underwater because it's like, okay, this is pretty much all has to be CGI.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
And I mean, like Avatar was like that.
Yeah, but they pulled it off.
And they did. So I think kind of talking about what DC's doing now with the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix was amazing. Kind of taking the genre of superhero movies and just kind of turning it upside down and doing something completely different. Yeah. And the Joker we've talked about this a couple podcasts ago, was so dark and was so royally f***ed up.
It was the most I've seen a superhero movie come close to The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Where
Absolutely,
it's like, this could really be happening in the world right now.
Absolutely. It was so real.
Yeah.
It was so real. And that's what I loved about it, is it took something that could possibly actually happen and kind of threw it. They took this dark, f***ed up person and put him in a superhero movie, essentially. They saw the success of that and was like, all right, screw all of our plans. We're doing stuff like this. Yeah. And that's okay. I think they should do that. You don't need to
make movies for kids. It's okay to make movies for adults.
And you don't need to create a wide universe worth of movies.
No.
Like Star Wars already done it. Fast and Furious has already done it. DC's kind of done it before, but also Marvel's done that. That is their stigma. Make something weird.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going to talk about it. That's why the Matt Reeves Batman will probably be one of the best DC movies they've put out.
I am so incredibly excited for that movie.
The tone that they are putting out there, it's like a Fincher film.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people have been saying. Like it's you're going into like Seven or Zodiac. You go into the Gone Girl. You go into the psychology of the killer. We watched the movies with Mikey.
Yeah.
Where the hero of The Dark Knight is the Joker.
Yeah.
And that changes the entire movie.
It really does.
Because nothing comes close to that. And I think that they're going to do the same thing. But they're not really, I don't know if they're going to do it with the villain, but they're definitely going to do it with his character as Robert Pattinson. And if you haven't watched it, turn off this podcast right now and go watch it. It's like 2 minutes long. Gosh, this has got to be like Batman number 6.
At least.
Yeah. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. So this is number 7. So Batman number 7, where he...
Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. And there's a part in the trailer where he beats the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
And he punches him in the face. The guy goes down, and then he just straight up beats him on the ground. They're like, "Who are you?" And he just says, "I am vengeance." He could have said, "I am Batman," but he didn't give a shit.
He could have said, "I am Iron Man."
He could have said, "I am Iron Man." Now that would have been a plot twist. Yeah. I was like, why aren't we watching this movie right now? But that to me solidified the fact that this is a completely different Batman movie that we're going to be seeing.
And you have to do that.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you have to adapt the same story with a new tone.
Absolutely.
So that you can engage your audience in a way that they haven't been engaged before on that specific character.
Right.
Because there's so much content out there about Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Not just on film, the comics and all the different kinds of comics.
Yep.
For people out there who don't know like comic books, there's hundreds of different takes on the exact same character.
Oh yeah. Like a black Jim Gordon, perfect.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
they couldn't have picked a better character or a better actor to fit him.
Right,
Jeffrey Wright.
They
couldn't have picked something different, and I love it when they take those creative liberties that.
And
when
you have to.
When they change the gender of a character or they change like the race of a character, I think it really does add to a film because it's a different take.
It's like
Hamilton. I'm not throwing away my shot.
But I mean, yeah, it's going along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm trying to tell the story of old America from the mouths of modern America. And that's a great way to put it. And everyone, when that first came out, everyone's like, oh man, this is going to be
stupid.
This is going to be stupid. He's got all black people playing a white people role. It's like, well, hold on. Go watch it.
Yeah, because it makes sense.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And I mean, just the choreography alone.
Yeah.
Going back and back to back.
We'll do
that,
a whole
that's
nother,
a whole nother podcast.
We'll do a whole nother podcast.
How dare I need to watch it
Hamilton.
again. Oh my god.
Okay, so anything.
Wait for it. I am the one thing in life I can. Okay, we're done.
So, would you recommend seeing New Mutants to people?
We wrapped around it.
In theaters or waiting for it to come out on streaming or rent it or whatever?
I would say rent it, personally.
I would say if theaters around you are still doing like pretty cheap stuff, because right now theaters around us like have really cheap tickets and cheap concessions and everything.
Yeah.
I would say at that point, sure, it's worth the $10 or $15 total.
Yeah.
I mean, tickets were around $7 or $8, and then we spent like $7 or $8 on popcorn and drinks and candy. So I'd say it's worth the $15.
Yeah.
If your movie theaters are full priced, definitely wait for it to come out.
Yeah. And if you know a little bit about like mutants and superhero movies in that regard, I think you might get a good taste out of this one.
I think they did a good amount of justice to the characters in a way that isn't specifically comic booky.
Yeah.
Because there's so much background with so many different characters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked it enough to at least tell the world through a podcast that I liked it.
Right. So you said that we're going to be talking about Tenet next week.
Yep.
Obviously, we're big moviegoers. We go almost every weekend if we can. We watch movies all the time. Other than Tenet, what movie are you excited for?
Coming out soon.
I think we've got 2 or 3 big movies the rest of this year.
Yeah, man. Okay, so this is what's hard is like my favorite part, and you know this. I get mad if we're late to the movies.
Yeah.
Because I love the previews and the trailers. I love just getting excited for new movies coming out. But yeah, since we haven't been able to be at the theater, I'm not exactly sure what's coming out.
Yeah. Here's the issue is like a lot of with COVID and everything that happened is they moved everything.
Right.
There was like so many things that are supposed to come out this year. Obviously Tenet comes out next week. I'm a big James Bond fan, and it looks like that got moved to November. So I'm excited for that one because it's supposed to kind of end out his career.
Yeah.
But everything got pushed back to next year.
Yeah, so from what I can see on this list, I'm really excited for Tenet. Mm-hmm. I am also really excited for Candyman, the new Jordan Peele
that looks good
movie, which I believe is not an adaptation but a sequel to the original 80s Candyman horror film. So I'm excited about that. Also excited for the Pixar movie Soul.
Yeah.
That looks really good. I love what Pixar does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Telling super heavy, hard stories and putting them in a family-friendly kind of way that engages adults and kids. Like that's something special.
What's the one we just watched? That's on Disney Plus.
Pixar movie?
Onward.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Onward, go watch Onward. It's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I really like that one too. And again, like they're touching on really hard subjects, and they're doing it in a way that is interesting and it's fun.
Yeah.
I think the hardest Pixar movie that I watched, like the one that like really just sort of ripped my heart out, was the Good Dinosaur.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
I'm afraid to watch it. That's what everybody tells me. Is they're like, "Oh my gosh, it rips your heart out."
Yeah, and you know, it's you get one of those two things. It's either like it's really good, but it's super sad, or everyone's like, that movie was garbage. Don't waste your time. I liked it.
Yeah.
At the time when that came out, they were doing things with technology, and as far as animation goes, that had not ever been done before. They were developing all new kinds of tech to recreate realistic like water physics and like leaf physics and all these kind of things in animation that we had not seen before. And that movie is probably one of the most beautifully animated movies I've ever seen.
I have to watch it. Honestly, Up is probably the one that irked my soul.
Really?
And ripped it in half.
That's a quality film.
That and Toy Story 3.
Oh.
Dude, I saw Toy Story 3 at a point in my life very similar to what Andy was going through in that movie. Like going on next chapter of life and giving up
that's
toys.
Why they put it out then.
Right. And I was just like, why are you doing this to me? I was born when the first movie came out. I was almost named Mufasa.
Wait, you look like a Mufasa.
I know.
Scar,
remember who you are.
While we're on the topic of movies,
I
did just want a quick R.I.P. out there for
Chadwick Boseman.
That's like heartbreaking. Wakanda forever.
Yeah, so if you don't know who Chadwick Boseman is, he played many different roles, but he was pretty known for playing Black Panther in the newest Marvel movies. But he also played Jackie Robinson, and then he also played James Brown.
Yeah,
Giddy Up, and that was like his biggest name roles. But this kind of came out of nowhere for everyone. He died of colon cancer privately, which is something that not many people like talk about lately. And the sad thing about it, or the beautiful thing about it, is he never told anyone about it. And he was diagnosed in 2016, which is the same year that they announced that he was going to play Black Panther. And then he proceeded to do like 7 movies back to back, playing all these movies while fighting cancer at the same time. I mean, if you don't think that's a superhero in itself, then you're crazy.
And not only that, but giving to the different kind of charities that he gave to, and doing everything that he could to be a part of so many different people's stories who are struggling,
and to create to be a character like Black Panther that put the African culture in the front spotlight in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember when that movie came out, and it just inspired so many people, and inspired me because I was like, I'm so prideful I have such pride for this, because it showed a culture that I personally don't know a lot about.
Right.
And it really spoke to my heart to finally see something like that, and to have it done so beautifully, and to give kids everywhere a hero to look up to, and a culture that was glorified, and it was beautiful. And to be the figurehead of that and fighting cancer, good grief.
Yeah.
Good God, he's a hero.
Well, on that Debbie Downer, if you guys have any movie reviews that you would like our 2 cents on, or anything like that, even TV shows, if you're like, hey, have you seen this show? What do you guys think of it? Let us know, because we love to talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you would like to support the podcast, feel free to go to anchor.fm/prone to ponder.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
beautiful.
I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you liked it, let us know. If you didn't, let us know, because we just want to know what the people are looking for.
Have a great week.
Have a great week. Thank you all for the support, and we love you.
Bye.
Bye.
In the arms of